Okay, so good morning guys, welcome back to the channel. In Taffrail, unfortunately the weather's taken a bit of a turn for the worse. It's really overcast and looks very stormy, although we haven't had much in the way of rain, a little bit overnight, but that's about it. But today I'm going to go up to the Painted Rocks, and I've decided rather than drive up there, I'm going to go by bike, give myself a bit of exercise and something different to do. So that's the plan for today. Okay, well the cycling didn't go quite as smoothly as I thought it might do. I left the campsite and rode up the road a ways until I came to the track that leads me up to the Painted Rocks. Carried along on the track for maybe a kilometre or so, and then it split. You had one off to the right, which was more of a walk-in cycle track, and one to the left, which you could see the tyre tracks in the gravel, so that was obviously more for the vehicles. So I decided to take the walk-in and the cycle track. Probably got a kilometre up the road, and the path just ran out. I came to a tiny village, and the little track went between a couple of old houses, and it was just full of boulders. So I had to spend quite a bit of time dragging, pushing, pulling, and humping the bike over all the rocks and things like that. Eventually I did get to the top beyond the village, came to a plateau where I met up with some goat herders and a couple of the goats took a fancy to the bike, and the dogs were barking because they didn't like the idea I was around their goats and their sheep. So yeah, it's got to be said that this sheepdog or goat herder, this dog, isn't very pleased that I'm here. And once again I find the goats all in the trees. Okay, so basically I'm in the area of the Painted Rocks now, and it's quite dramatic scenery as you can see from there. But if I pan round slowly, just coming in now, you can see areas of what originally were blue and yellows and sort of reds, but obviously the sun's now faded the colours. And then if I pan round a little bit more, there's a larger complex just there, and what I'm heading for, the larger ones behind this bush there. Okay, so you can see the rocks behind me. The sun's finally coming out, so hopefully you can see them quite well. But the rocks were actually first painted by a Belgian artist, Jean Verheem, back in 1984. And over the period of time, obviously the sun's got to them, the paint's faded. And the last time I was here, which was back in 2020, I don't think it was the local authorities or whether it was just another group of artists, but they actually came around and completely repainted them all, and they were really brilliant colours. And now I'm back 2 years later, you can start to see that the sun's starting to fade the colours once again, more so the red and the blue. But yeah, it's still worthwhile coming up to have a look. I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, they're just a bunch of painted rocks, but nonetheless, they are worth the visit. Okay, so I'm just about to leave the campsite here at Taffrail. I've been here for a few days, but it's time to move on. So I'm going to leave the campsite, which has been a good stop, and from here I'm going to make my way down towards, or across east actually, towards Talouine, and then from Talouine up to Ouarzazate. As I said, it's been a good stop here. The only thing I would say is that overnight it's been pretty cold. I mean, the last few nights it's been down to 0 or even -1 on one evening. So yeah, during the day, lovely and sunny. Although the temperature maximum has only been 11-12 degrees. It's supposed to be a little bit warmer today. Okay, so I've just left the campsite and I'm now driving into Taffrail, the main town, which I have to go through in order to get on the road towards Talloween. It's quite a touristy town, Taffrou, but pleasant nonetheless. We'll see a little bit more as we go through. This is the actual centre where the shops are. There is actually a weekly market over to my left hand side. I think it's a Tuesday actually, Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm not really sure. I can't remember. But yeah, this is it's a pretty good town actually. There seems to be everything you could ever need. As you can see, we're in a bit of a dip with mountains surrounding the whole place. Just along here, a few hundred metres, you'll see the campers parked on the side of the road on the right. This is where I had some paintwork done a few days ago, which is the reason I came, one of the reasons I came to Taffrou, because I had a few stone chips on the roof panel. And this is the place here. You can see there's quite a few campers here. You know, you can get anything from a complete respray to just a little touch up, and yeah, it's reasonable. So once more I'm up and into the mountains, getting from Taffrou to Talloween. Really quite dramatic. The little town at the bottom in the valley there, what a dramatic place to live with all these mountains surrounding you. Really good. It'll be difficult to get out to do your shopping, but yeah, great place. I'm not sure if I can actually spot it. There is actually, you can see the mountains in front of, well no you can't because you're looking at me. But in front of me are some mountains, and there's one particular sort of part of the mountain where if you look at it at certain angles and the sun in certain places, it looks like the head of a lion really. And I'll see if I can find it, whether the sun's in the right place. We'll have a look, see what we can find. And there you go, the lion's head. So you can see that I'm on obviously a tarmac road, but the actual strip of tarmac is quite narrow. One of the problems that you do find here in Morocco is obviously there's not enough room for two cars to pass one another without actually leaving the tarmac. The problem is that you might not see it on the camera, but from the tarmac onto the gravel sort of side section, it can be several inches sometimes. So you've got to be careful, because the locals don't like dropping off the edge of the tarmac. Partly because if they get it wrong, and I've just got a coach coming up, so I'm going to give him the way. They don't like coming off the road because it's possible to sort of scrub your tyres and get punctures and things like that, sharp edges of the tarmac, and as you drop off, as I said, you can get punctures. So the problem being is that you're driving along here and a car will be coming towards you, and okay, you've got to get off the road a little bit, but you slow down and you pull over, but they're going to try and push you right off the road in order that they don't have to leave the tarmac. And it's almost like a chicken run, because they will leave it until the absolute last minute often before they will leave the road. It's just something you've got to be aware of, but at the same time you've got to look after your own tyres. You know, ordinary road type tyres can quite easily be split if they catch the sharp edge of tarmac, so just be aware if you come into Morocco and you've not experienced it before. So once again you can just see how desolate this place is. I'm on the road between Taffrou and Talloween, and I've been passed by one single motorcycle all morning. So I've managed to find myself somewhere to pull off the road for lunch. As you can see, it's still quite bleak. And although it's got a beautiful blue sky, there's not a cloud in it, it is very windy and it's quite chilly actually. But we are quite high. We're probably, I don't know, I would think we're over 2,000 metres. So yeah, one expects it to be a bit chilly, I suppose. We're going to have some lunch and then push on. I'm not going to get all the way to Ouarzazate today, that's for sure. Not going to rush around. So probably only get to Talloween tonight. make a stop there for the night and then get into Ouarzazate tomorrow. So that's the loose plan. We'll see how it goes. There's no rush, but lunch is definitely important. I'm starving. So as you can see, the roads can be pretty treacherous as well. Lots and lots of potholes. Not in all roads, but many. It's one of the reasons why you should make one of your golden rules in Morocco: never drive at night. So if you was coming along this road of a night time, there's absolutely no street lighting. Not always sure your headlights will pick these things up, and it could be quite dodgy. So this is the other thing you have to be careful of. As you can see, the road has actually subsided a little bit just here, and the only marking is this little pile of stones that one of the locals probably has put up. This is how bad the roads can get at some points. You can see this truck coming up, but it really is quite horrendous. Okay, as you can see, the road has just been completely washed away. You've seen from the other parts of the video that there's lots of areas along this particular road. This area off to the left here, this is actually what we call a wadi, which is a dry riverbed, and obviously for the most part it is dry. But when the rains come, the amount of water that comes down through these areas is just quite amazing. It needs to be seen to be believed, but it's certainly enough to wash the roads away. If I open up, you can see that along here there's all the normal tubes, the concrete tubing that goes under the road, and that would normally take the water. So it gives you some idea of the pressure of the water and the amount of water that must have come down here to actually overtake that sort of escape route for the water and just wash all this roadway away. Quite amazing. So I'm on the road to Ouarzazate from Talouine, almost at Ouarzazate, only about another 20 minutes, but coming over the mountains. I mean, you can see where I am, lovely sunshine, but if you look into the distance, you can see the snow-topped mountains. Okay, so this tower that you can see in the distance and that brilliant light, which is not sunlight, is actually the Ouarzazate solar power station. It's also called the Noor power station. It's a solar power complex and with an auxiliary diesel fuel system located just outside of Ouarzazate. It produces 510 megawatts and it's the world's largest concentrated solar power plant. It also has an additional 72 megawatts photovoltaic system. Total project is estimated to have cost the Moroccans $2.5 billion. Lots of films have been made in Morocco and the studios are on the outskirts of Ouarzazate. Films like Game of Thrones, Gladiator, Cleopatra, Gas Heaven. Also possible to visit the abandoned movie set of the 2006 horror film The Hills Have Eyes. So join me next time as I continue east across the country towards Medzouga and the desert areas. Thanks for watching and look forward to seeing you on the next one.